security, which is always a pressing need, but it is especially so today because of COVID-19. And in the words of Martin Luther King, whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly. So this is a cause that we are really excited to address. So following this service, volunteers are going out and they're going to distribute almost 10,000 pounds of food, non-perishables, to over 300 families in Harrisonburg and Rockingham. That's really exciting. And today is just the beginning, and we hope you will join us throughout the year and in years to come as we support one another, get to know one another, and better our community together. So now we're going to start our program with Ms. Cynthia James singing "A Change is Going to Come." Cynthia?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here and to be a part of this service. And Judge Bailey, it's always a pleasure to see you. So hopefully this will be done in the spirit that God has given me this early in the morning. So a change is going to come. I was born by the river in a little tent and told just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. I believe it will. See, I go to the movie, then I go downtown. Some people keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. And then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me, please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Wow, there were times when I thought I couldn't last alone, but now I know we're able to carry on. It's been a thank you, Martin, a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. That was pretty impressive for 10 a.m. I'd like to hear you later in the day. That was beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Monica Robinson, who is going to lead us in prayer this morning. Monica?
Let us pray. Dear Father, we come to you asking for your blessing as we gather together in this safe space. Thank you for the work of Dr. King and our ability to work together for change. Give us the ability to carry his dream forward. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Monica. And Jenna, would you mind bringing up the video of the National Service Corporation so we can see a little bit more about Martin Luther King Day of Service?
Yes, give me just a moment to find that.
No problem.
All right, if you don't hear it, let me know.
Okay.
So inspired. He took chances. It was so moving. He lived daringly. He plowed into those 39 years, the long life in terms of service. Martin Luther King Jr. was a man of service, and his day should be a day of service. And we're asking people to do what Martin Luther King would do.
Use our own talent and skill to make a difference.
He inspired us in words. Everybody can be great, but he led us in deeds. Because everybody can serve. To honor him, let's do the same. Go to MLKday.gov and find out how to volunteer on Martin Luther King Day and beyond. This message is brought to you by the Corporation for National and Community Service.
And we are here. We are working on Martin Luther King National Day of Service. So thank you for that. And now I'd like to introduce Dina Reed. I know she needs no introduction, our mayor, and she is going to read a proclamation from the city of Harrisonburg. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you. Good morning. And on behalf of the city of Harrisonburg and City Council, I would like to say Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to everyone. I will be reading a proclamation recognizing January 18th, 2021 as the 26th Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged all Americans to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect union. And whereas Dr. King's teaching can continue to guide and inspire us in addressing challenges in our communities. And whereas in 1994, Congress designated the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday as a National Day of Volunteer Service and charged AmeriCorps with leading this effort. And whereas since 1994, millions of Americans have been inspired by the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to serve their neighbors and communities on the King holiday. And whereas serving on MLK Day is an appropriate way to honor Dr. King, meet local and national needs, bring our citizens together, and strengthen our communities and nation. And whereas MLK Day offers an opportunity for Americans to give back to their communities on the holiday and make an ongoing commitment to service throughout the year. And whereas virtual and COVID-19 appropriate MLK Day service projects are being organized by a wide range of nonprofit and community organizations, educational institutions, public agencies, private businesses, and other organizations across the nation to meet important community needs. And whereas each of us can and must contribute to making our communities better with increased opportunities for all of our citizens. And whereas citizens of Harrisonburg have the opportunity to participate in virtual and safe service events throughout the city and on the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, January 18th, 2021, as well as create and implement community service projects where they identify the need. Now, therefore, I, Dina R. Reed, Mayor of the City of Harrisonburg, proclaim the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday as a day of service in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and call upon the people of the City of Harrisonburg to pay tribute to the life and works of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. through participation in community service, projects on Martin Luther King Jr. Day and throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dina, and I know you have another obligation, so thank you for taking your time this morning for this wonderful proclamation, and we are going to go out and do exactly what you've proclaimed we should be doing. We're going to do a day of service. Thank you, and we'll see you later. I understand you're coming to help distribute food. Thank you. And Jenna also received a notification in the chat room that we have people waiting to be admitted that cannot get in. So if you can admit them, that would be great. And I'd like to now introduce Janet Harvey, who works with us at the ARC of Harrisonburg and Rockingham, and who has taken over the leadership of this terrific event today. And she is going to introduce our keynote speaker. Janet?
Thank you so much, Heather. Thank everyone for being here today. And it gives me great pleasure on behalf of the ARC to introduce the Honorable Anthony W. Bailey. And I just want to tell you a little bit of history about Anthony. Anthony began practicing law in Richmond in 1986 at the civil rights firm of Hill, Tucker, and Marsh. From 1988 to 1990, he served as state's Fair Housing Administrator. For 12 years, Bailey was Assistant Commonwealth Attorney for Rockingham and Harrisonburg. In 2011, Governor Bob McDonnell appointed Bailey to the State Juvenile Justice Board. On September 18, 2014, the General Assembly elected him to serve as Juvenile and Domestic Court Judge for the 26th Juvenile District. Judge Bailey took the JDR court bench on December 1st, 2014. He is the first African-American judge in the Shenandoah Valley. Thank you. Mr. Bailey. I don't see Judge Bailey on right now. Jenna?
He's on mute, I think. So I've asked him to unmute himself, but I'm not able to unmute him myself.
Okay.
I see his video is on.
He looks to be looking for assistance.
Yeah, I wish there was more I could do.
Can you call him, Janet?
Larry is calling him now.
Okay. You know, you gotta love Zoom. It's always entertaining. There's always something that happens in these big get-togethers that goes wrong. But you know what? We roll, don't we?
Yeah, and while we're waiting, Heather, why don't we jump to the Rotary Club and talk a little bit about their participation?
I was just going to suggest that. So our great minds are thinking alike. One of our partners in this project today and throughout the year will be the Rotary Club of Harrisonburg and Rockingham. And we have a little bit of a history with them that started in 2017. And their club likes to do service for MLK Day. And so this was a wonderful project that we did at the ARC of Harrisonburg and Rockingham to create a mural that depicted our movement from segregated services to inclusive services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So very appropriate to an MLK Day activity. So take it away there, Jenna.
All right.
Time-lapse video You can see how many hands make light work and speedy work. The same thing happened to us yesterday at Hope Distributed. I was very concerned about volunteerism during a pandemic, and we were a little wary that we might not have enough help. Yesterday at Hope Distributed, we had so many volunteers that we actually had to ask some folks to maybe volunteer tomorrow or today for food distribution, because we just couldn't handle that many people in the warehouse. I would say we had 50 people show up, and you know, it just really warmed our hearts that people were willing to come out during this pandemic and do for others. It just really speaks to the kind of community that we have, that volunteerism spirit that we have. And I'd like to thank Stephen. Can you wave, Stephen? Yeah, there he is. Stephen and his family came out to help on Friday to build the boxes that we put food in. And I want to thank Home Depot because they donated 450 boxes. They're awesome. They always come to our aid when we were looking for donations for special projects. In fact, they supplied every bit of paint that you saw go up on the wall for that mural. So they have been a great community partner for us. And anyway, so Stephen and his family came out and helped, along with a number of other people, to assemble those boxes. The Daily News Report came out and photographed that and printed in a story that was in the Saturday newspaper. And I know that we have TV3 here with us today, and we're very pleased and happy that our local media supports us in these activities, helps promote, and hopefully we'll have 300 or more families coming out today to be able to pick up their food boxes. So it takes a village, and I'm really, really happy to say that we had a village worth of people helping us out to make this project happen.
It looks like Anthony is still muted, so it looks like he's also talking to someone and trying to figure it out. So do we want to, is it okay if we invite Janelle up to speak?
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Okay.
Because I think Janelle is definitely what I would call a keynote speaker. And I'll just give you a little introduction. I met Janelle in the past year when the Alliance, the Virginia Alliance of Self-Advocates started for the state. And it's a bringing together of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to advocate for others and speak for themselves instead of always having others speak for them. They are very capable of advocating for themselves, and they do need to. We found during this pandemic that they're being left behind. And even before the pandemic, there are many areas where people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are left behind. So I've asked Janelle here to speak today. She's 26 years old, and she is proud to say that she has intellectual disability and autism. And she is actually co-chair of the ARC statewide, A Life Like Yours Self-Advocacy Alliance, where she works with her peers to ensure all Virginians with IDD have access to a life like ours, like yours. So Janelle, if you want to unmute yourself and go ahead and address the group, I'd really appreciate it.
Hello, I'm Janelle Gammer, and as Ms. Heather Denman introduced me, I am autistic. I have Asperger's syndrome. With that, I'm intellectually disabled. I am very nice and funny and able, you know, I am African mixed colored, but I am also really bright, and I'm there to get involved in volunteer work. I've also done work with the Alliance for over a year or more now, since last year in March. I've been doing lots of speaking and role playing and involved in advocacy work, and I plan on going back and doing work after the COVID and volunteering with the art. I really believe that we with disability and without disability can come together and do a lot for the disability community, and I like to play a role in just civil rights and, letting people know we all can get through this together. I have a speech I prepared, and I would like to do it now. Hi, everyone. I am Janelle Gilmer. I am coming here to speak with each of you about the significance of an important day in history for each of us. I want to focus on the important matters, like what it means to be equal and treated with love, equality, freedom, and much more. Some days we all can forget what this means for us. In the history we all share with each other. For example, we know how to gather and support one another when we have the same views. But we tend to forget how to come together as a working force when we have differences. It is important to remember the viewpoints and beliefs held by Martin Luther King, and that he would want us to just to continue leading in peace as we fight or fought for what our country stands for. And lastly, I have and will always be truly inspired by Martin Luther King because he fought with all Americans, with and without disabilities, for what we all want and need or treasure in our mind and heart. I still hold dear in my heart what Martin Luther King has instilled in each of us, including those with disability and without disability, even in the meeting today, for our fundamental right to be treated with respect. Please remember why we are all here and continue to live each day showing respect for different abilities and leading with kindness the way Martin Luther King believed we should. Thank you, Janelle Gimmer.
Thank you so very much, Janelle. I don't think truer words could be spoken, and I see you're getting some applause from folks who were listening. Although we can't hear it, they are showing it. So thank you so much for taking your time to come and speak with us on this important day. And thank you for all the work that you are doing for yourself and for all Virginians who have disabilities and who need to have reinforced their civil rights. We agree with every word that you've said today. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate you having me. I'm going to mute myself. And last thing I just want to say, I appreciate all the other speakers and everything you have devoted for the cause and everything you guys, even you, Miss Jenna and Heather, for what you are doing with the movement. And let's keep this going.
Absolutely. Bless you, Janelle. And I think we are ready if Janet wants to introduce our keynote speaker, Anthony Bailey.
Thank you, Heather and Janet, and I apologize for whatever happened. I swear I didn't touch anything. Hopefully you all can hear me now and see me. For shortness of time, I'm going to abbreviate the speech, my remarks, but I opened by thanking the ARC and Hope Distributed, the Rotary Club, and all of the organizations and churches and businesses and individuals that are working together to do what Dr. King always talked about, and that is people coming together regardless of their race, their ability level, their financial level, regardless of what their religious affiliation was, or even their political posture. What King really wanted was for people to serve and for all of us to try to do some active good to better the lives of those around us. Dr. King is one of the greatest Americans who has ever lived. But I think that sometimes he has been pigeonholed into a position of being viewed as the African American civil rights hero, and he is absolutely that. But Dr. King was so much more. And when we don't really take time to dig deeper and look at what his message was and what his dream was, even from his own words, then we see him as a civil rights advocate, when what King in fact was throughout his entire existence was a human rights advocate. Most of us are well familiar with the "I Have a Dream" speech, and it is excellent. And some of us have read a letter from a Birmingham jail. However, if those are the only things that you know about Dr. King, if those are the only writings that you've looked at, then you've missed what King is really about. Let me give you a brief snippet from a couple of other things that really told what King was truly saying. One of his speeches that I find most instructive actually came 2 years after he delivered the "I Have a Dream" speech. It's commonly referred to as the American Dream Sermon, and he delivered it at Ebenezer Baptist Church on July 4th, 1965, 2 years after the "I Have a Dream" speech. King told the audience that just 2 years later, his dream had turned into a nightmare. In that sermon, he addressed questions that could have been snatched from the headlines in today's newspapers. He talked about a living wage for workers in menial jobs. He talked about income insecurity and equality as a way to deal with the corrosiveness of the justice system. He talked about the needs of this country to change some of its structural mechanisms in order to preserve our multicultural democracy. He talked about the fact that class divisions within the United States, in his words, quote, can be as vicious and evil as a system based on racial injustice, end quote. King talked about the dignity of everyone and all kinds of work. He discussed the fact that even, quote, menial workers should make enough from their efforts so that they can live and educate their children and buy homes and have basic necessities of life. Now, that isn't just about African Americans. That's about all Americans. This is the quote from that speech that I think sums it up. And I'm reading Dr. King's words. About 2 years ago now, I stood with many of you who stood there in person and all of you who were there in spirit before the Lincoln Memorial in Washington. As I came to the end of my speech there, I tried to tell the nation about a dream I had. I must confess to you this morning that since that sweltering August afternoon in 1963, my dream has often turned into a nightmare. I've seen my dream shattered as I've walked the streets of Chicago and see Negroes, young men and women, with a sense of utter hopelessness because they can't find jobs. I've seen my dream shattered as I've been through Appalachia, and I've seen my white brothers, along with Negroes, living in poverty. And I'm concerned about white poverty as much as I'm concerned about Negro poverty, end quote. You see, King was talking about humanity, and he was talking about human rights and our human dignity. And he was including people of all colors, people of all religions, because King's total purpose was to unify. And he was calling our country and us as individuals into service to do something about it, not only in our pressure on the government to make changes, not only in our criticism and pressure on large multinational corporations and businesses, but he was also calling upon us to individually get activated to do something. And King was concerned that we were living in a time then, and I say we are still living in a time today, where too often we don't even know our neighbors. We have no idea whether they have food. We no longer welcome people into the neighborhood when people are moving in. We no longer share what we have in our cupboards and cabinets the way we should. All of us are probably guilty, and I'll raise my hand, of having some food in their cabinets that probably will go expired. Yet how many times in the course of the year do we actually look in to see what we have that we haven't used for a few months? Because if we haven't eaten it in 3 months, it would be better served to give to someone who could use it right then. Martin Luther King was definitely and clearly an African-American hero, but he should be a hero to every person who cares about what happens to their cousin or their uncle that's in distress, that doesn't have food, that maybe is either not with a job, between jobs, or working a job that doesn't pay them enough to make ends meet. Martin Luther King was concerned not only about Black people, not only about Baptists, he was concerned about you. He was concerned about every one of us, and he was trying to push all of us to do what we can in our own space, in our own community, as well as on the larger national stage, to try to, by direct action, start helping people around us. He wanted us to come out of our homes and get to know people in the neighborhood who don't look like you, who maybe don't speak the same language that you speak. And he wanted us to start feeling that greater compassion that all of us should have one for another. He used to talk about, regardless of what boat you came over, that we all now were in the same boat. He talked often about unity, and he said in some of his speeches, unity has never been.
Hey, David.
So what I want to say to you today is be encouraged, be vigilant, be active, and I ask you that at the end of this program, do what you can to personally get involved in this food drive, but in other things to help people across this city and this county who might have a need. And if we do that, then that's the best way to honor Dr. King and the best way to implement this day of service. Thank you.
And you are receiving, whoops.
Heather, you're muted.
I guess I was unmuted and muted myself. I just want to say that obviously you saw that there was applause, Tony, and you deserve it. That was a very inspirational speech and so true. And one of the reasons, why we really want to continue to hold Martin Luther King Day of Service throughout the year and live his message, because it is all about humanity. And in the quote that I spoke to earlier, he said, what affects one of us essentially affects all of us. And so we do need to take care and make sure that everyone in our community has their needs addressed. So in closing, I would like to thank all of our presenters for their inspiration today. And also to thank the Center for National Service, AmeriCorps, and the ARC of the U.S. who provided us with a grant that makes this day and activity possible. Thanks to our local partners, the Harrisonburg Rotary Club and Hope Distributed, and a special shout out to Ellen Braun, the Executive Director at Hope. She has really bent over backwards to help us with this event and make sure that we have all the food that was needed to distribute today. Also want to I did thank Home Depot a little bit earlier, but we appreciate their continued support. And I want to thank our project coordinators, Janet Harvey and Jenna Bryant, who helped put this event together today and have been working really hard to make sure that we have enough food and that everything goes in an orderly fashion today. And I want to thank everyone for joining us in this Zoom call this morning. I know we're all zoomed out, but I think it was a really great choice you made today to help celebrate and honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Also, I got to thank all those folks, as I said earlier, who are showing up for us, who have shown up for us in a pandemic because they care about their neighbors, they care about their community. I just think we are so blessed in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County. So I do want to thank you all for that. And we want to thank everyone who hasn't maybe joined us yet, but who will join us in the coming year and in future years, because we are not going to go away. Food insecurity is not going to go away, and we're not going to go away either. So we're going to continue to do this. And as we do so, we want to be even more inclusive and make sure that everybody in our community is contributing to this amazing event. So thank you all, and please go out and have a wonderful day. Go out and do small things in a great way. And as I bid you farewell, we're going to play the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and we invite you to lift up your voices. And if you want to stay and chat with your neighbors, feel free to do so as well. We're going to be over at the Sims building, Lucy F. Sims Continuing Education Center in Harrisonburg. We'll be at Open Doors, which is the former Red Front, and we will be at West Rockingham Food Pantry distributing boxes of food today and remembering Dr. Martin Luther King. So Jenna, if you could cue up that music, and please feel free to shout out your joy.
Like this part right here.
We're trying to find out things. Get it all set up. I don't know what to do.
There's something to it. Just encourage it. We're going to take it to church with it. Let's go. All the brothers out there. All my sisters in the struggle. Till that day. Take that to it.
I'm not talking. Part of it.
Great. That's good. Yeah.
Right.
Hallelujah.
Muted.
Great send off. See everyone later today. And if you're interested in getting involved, please get in touch with the ARC. We would love to have you get involved in this awesome project. Thank you.
Hi.
Bye.
Bye. Nice job.
Feel free to unmute yourself
Thank
if you
you.
want to
That's great job.
give a shout out.
Yeah, if anybody wants to chat, just unmute yourselves.
Great job. Good job. I enjoyed the good job. Who's not clapping? I want everybody here to clap.
Thank you.
Good job, Judge Bailey.
That's great.
Yeah, that was fabulous. I'm inspired. I'm ready to do community service.
Service for the day. Good. Oh, that's Kayleen. Hi.
Hi.
Good job, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia. Hi.
Thanks for joining us, Dick.
Thanks, Elaine.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Megan.
Ask them if they can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Megan. Did you want to say something, Dick?
Did they say yes? Yeah. Okay, good.
Did you want to say something, Dick?
No, my dad's just testing the screen.
Okay.
Actually, I got.
We have a new setup. He's in his own office now.
Oh, wow.
He's looking sharp.
Awesome.
Actually, it's through the computer going through the TV set.
Awesome. So you're big and tech now. You got your own office and a big screen.
Computer to the TV.
Yeah, we're testing everything now.
Great job.
That's what's going on.
Who is it? Oh, Dahmer.
Thank you all for everything.
Oh, hey, Terry. We can't see you, but it's nice to hear your voice.
You don't want to see me.
We always want to see Terry. Terry is our Director of Support Services at the ARC, and we love her. We're glad.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I know
Yeah, Dick seconded that.
it.
They'll be emoting the best.
Rosanna.
Out.
And I see James there. If you could give us a wave, James. James is our direct support professional who works at the ARC, and we appreciate all he does. He's been involved in developing and delivering Zoom programming throughout the pandemic so that we keep everyone safe. And I think the folks that are on here today, like Stephen and Jordan and Donald, or Dick, I mean, sorry, I saw your name there written as Donald. We've got to change that. Can attest to the fact that, that Zoom has really saved their lives. And Michelle, if you could give us a wave. Michelle has also been involved since the very beginning in developing our Zoom program. We appreciate her dedication and all that she does. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Anybody on this?
Rankin was on there.
Yeah, I know we had some other folks on earlier, but they've left us. So anyway.
Oh, it's stop video.
I just would like to say that I want to thank ARC, Janet, Judge Bailey, Janelle, all participants for reminding us of our responsibility and obligation on behalf of one another.
When you talk,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're looking down, not up. See.
All right, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end us.
Okay.
But thanks for everyone for joining us, and hopefully we will be together soon at some point this year.
Absolutely. We'll give you lots of opportunities to come together with us. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Bye.
Take care.